Oh, yeah. Is it Thursday already? Forget everything you thought you knew about Star Wars Starfighter. Because Tom Cruise is filming lightsaber duels for the movie, Steven Spielberg is on the set, and we are getting lightsaber duels in Starfighter. So throw everything you thought you knew about the Ryan Gosling-led, Sean Levy-directed Star Wars movie coming out in 2027 because everything has changed today. We also got to talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu because we have a new description for the movie along with a nice new image where Din Djarin is injured. Could he be dying in this movie? Well, we'll talk about that. Ahsoka Season 2 seemingly was confirmed to be coming out this year in 2026. And did I mention Maul Shadow Lord? I know we spent the majority of last stream talking about Maul Shadow Lord, but we got even more to talk about today. So we got a lot to get into and not a lot of time. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? Are we in for a fun one today, chat? Starfighter news has blown up this morning, I guess last night, where we have gotten the revelation that not only is Steven Spielberg, best friend of George Lucas, one of the greatest directors of all time. Let's just say it how it is. The guy who gave us everything from Schindler's List to E.T. and everything in between. That Steven Spielberg was on the set of Star Wars Starfighter, and Tom Cruise was behind the camera filming a lightsaber duel in Star Wars Starfighter. So yeah, that happened. We're going to talk about it all and what it means for this movie. And we got, of course, stuff to talk about with the movie that comes out this year in just about 5-ish months. We got to talk about that too. But before we do any of it, let's start the stream the right way by saying hi to everybody in the chat. Shall we? All right, Brandon Baker, how we doing? I Haja in the house. Star Wars Santa, what is up? WUV Grad, how we doing? Max Rebo, excuse me. Max Rebo in the house. That Dave that loves Star Wars, what is up? Matthew, how we doing? Lobo in the building. John Groom, what is up? Droopy McCool, of course, is with us as per usual. Javier, how we doing? Ian, what is up? Dan the Man in the building. Darth Plagueis lives, how we doing? Ron, what is up? Papa Boz, how we doing? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Holly, what's up? Let's give everybody a nice little...
Hello there.
So we got to start with the Starfighter news. I know I'm usually like, hey, what do you guys want to start with? Nope, we're starting with the Starfighter stuff today because it's absolutely insane. Like, sometimes I go to sleep at night and I'm laying there and I'm like, what's going to be tomorrow's Star Wars news? Will there even be any Star Wars news? What if I have to do a live stream where there's absolutely nothing to talk about? What will I do with my life? However, that's not the case today. We have been blessed with so much Star Wars news that honestly, I don't even know if we have enough time to get to it. So maybe we should start. Maybe I should stop, stalling. Stop doing, these intros to these live streams that are so elongated and just get to the frickin' news. But then again, life is short. So you want to enjoy the moments. You want to take your time and, really just live in the moment, Okay, Tom Cruise. Oh, perfect timing. That actually kind of scared me. Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg. Let's talk about it. All right, let's start with this article right here. Actually, first and foremost, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Star Wars Starfighter? I know it's not until 2027. We're still about a year and 5 months away. So, like 17 months, give or take. So, we are a pretty far way away from this movie. However, Ryan Gosling, Matt Smith, Mia Goth, Amy Adams, Sean Levy. After coming off the backs of Stranger Things Season 5, we got Sean Levy directing a Star Wars movie. And now you add Steven Spielberg to the equation. You add Tom Cruise filming a lightsaber duel in this movie. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for this movie? And let's read this article, shall we? Oh, hang on. Hang on. Aha, there we go. So here's our Ryan Gosling character here and Flynn Gray character there. Still no names for said characters, but Star Wars Starfighter will have a lightsaber duel shot by Tom Cruise. This just almost sounds fake to me. Like, am I still dreaming? Have I woken up yet? Let's find out. We weren't sure if Star Wars Starfighter would focus on the Force or Jedi at all. But now, that's been thrown out the window. But now there's been reports of a lightsaber duel filmed on set, and that Tom Cruise was the one who filmed it. So there's been some confusion that people are thinking that Tom Cruise is in the movie. No, he was on set filming the lightsaber duel. He filmed the lightsaber duel, which means there's probably more than one lightsaber duel, because if Sean Levy, was directing a Star Wars movie, you'd think that he would be the one who wants to direct the lightsaber duel, right? Not have Tom Cruise come in and do it for him. So it's making me think that there's going to be a lot of lightsaber duels in this movie, and that pretty much makes me think that everything we thought we knew about this Starfighter movie, and granted, we didn't know much, but everything we thought we knew is completely thrown out the window. Ryan Gosling could be a Jedi for all we know, or at least a lightsaber wielder. We know the rumors that Amy Adams was supposed to be a former Jedi, and that this is her son, Flynn Gray, right up here. This is her son. So maybe he has a lightsaber, but it certainly doesn't look that way. This belt clip right here, again, that could just be for the set, and he could be just strapped in for safety purposes, but it also could be a clip for a lightsaber. All right, continuing. In an interview with New York Times, so New York Times, I got a complaint for you. I went to try and go read your article, and guess what? There was a paywall. What kind of world do we live in where I gotta pay to get my Star Wars news? God! Okay. In an interview with New York Times, thank God for Star Wars Newsnet, shout out to you guys, which almost comes across like a little bit of a press release or a showcase of all the reasons why Sean Levy is a great choice for directing this film. New York Times revealed that Levy's filmed a scene, that involves a lightsaber duel in the water. Now, granted, this could be like, we see them above water here, so it could be like above the water, and that would be one thing. To me, and maybe you guys take this differently. To me, in the water sounds like in the water. I know I just said the same sentence twice, but it has a different meaning. Underwater. Now, granted, they could have said underwater, but in the water sounds to me like under the water. Let me get to these super chats really quickly. There was 2 of them, I think. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Holly sent this before the live stream started. Mike, please watch Beggar's Canyon, the new Star Wars Lost Legends. It makes me feel like I'm watching a Star Wars movie again. Link is in the Discord. I'll have to check that out. That Day That Love Star Wars with an 11-month membership. That's insane. I appreciate that. And Darth Plagueis Lives with a $5 holla. Says lightsaber fight in Starfighter. This is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. All right, so let's get back to this article. Now that I've been so rudely interrupted, a lightsaber duel in the water. Now, granted, their feet could be in the water. Their toes could be going for a little swim, or they could be completely submerged. We've only ever seen that, at least in the Clone Wars, in animation, where you have that Kit Fisto arc of the Mon Calamari versus the what the hell's wrong with my brain? Versus the Mon Cal versus the chat. Somebody help me out. I'm never gonna get it unless I can't think of it. All right, somebody help me on the chat. But that scene, or that sequence, I guess that arc in the Clone Wars was the word I was looking for. the arc in the Clone Wars where they have underwater lightsaber duels. Anakin, Ahsoka, Kit Fisto even comes along. We get those lightsabers that are underground. Corrin! Thank you! Holy crap, the Corrin. That was going to kill me. The Corrin. So there's a bunch of lightsabers underwater there. So lightsabers have been utilized under the water. That has happened before. But let's continue. Starfighter had multiple celebrity visitors during filming, including Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg. People seem to be brushing over this fact because of Tom Cruise. And, Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, great. Top Gun, fantastic. Tom Cruise has a great career of his own. Don't get me wrong. But Steven Spielberg, not just the directing credits that he has, but the fact that he is like best friends with George Lucas. They made the Indiana Jones movies together. They've been friends pretty much since the early/mid 70s. The fact that he's on the set of a Star Wars movie makes me think maybe George was there as well, and they're just not telling us. But even if he wasn't, this is still great news. My brain only works in memes, and I just, invincible. If you know, you know. Well, Spielberg likely provided some pearls of wisdom to Sean Levy. Cruise enthusiastically took up Levy's joking offer to jump on one of the cameras and waded into the muddy pond to shoot this scene. Sean Levy reflected on the experience to go on here. So the muddy pond is another thing. We don't know what planets this movie's going to take place on. All we know is that they filmed at the Mediterranean Sea. And I hate to break it to you guys, that's not a muddy pond behind them. It's a pretty big sea that's connected to the ocean. So the muddy pond, you guys tell me in the chat, I can't think of any off the top of my head planets in Star Wars that would have something of that sort. Maybe the planet from Mando Season 1, where Din Djarin almost settles down with that, the girl from the village there. But I don't even remember the name of that planet. I don't know. Either way, Muddy Pond sounds like Luke Skywalker's temple flashbacks. Interesting. I'm trying to remember, because Luke's Jedi Temple's on the planet of Ossus. Do we see any muddy ponds on Ossus? Dagobah. Oh, shit. I didn't even think of that. Dagobah? That would be insane. That would be insane. That would be insane. Muddy Pond doesn't really sound like underwater to me, LOL. Yes. I've been in some pretty big ponds. Last summer, or 2 summers ago? 2 summers ago, I went to, you know what? I'm not going to tell you where I went to, because that would be, all right. I went to a location where the Airbnb we were at was on a pond, and we went swimming in the pond the entire vacation. So ponds can be of many different shapes and sizes, but I suppose if you're thinking like muddy pond, you're probably thinking a tiny little puddle. But a puddle and a pond are two different things too. God, what the hell's a pond? Okay, Naboo also had some muddy ponds. Well, when we talked about the Mediterranean Sea and Italy and where they filmed all the Naboo stuff, the Nubian stuff, we were thinking that maybe we would get some Naboo in this movie. Maybe we still are. I don't know. I don't know. So, with that, let's keep going. So, he hopped on to shoot a muddy pond scene. And here's what it was. Last week, Steven Spielberg was here. He just throws that out there like it's a common fact. Like, of course, Steven Spielberg was on set. Like, no big deal. And now Tom Cruise is wielding a camera. Ruining his very nice shoes, of course, in that said muddy pond. Now, when you see the movie, you'll know that part of it was shot by Tom Cruise. How cool is that? It will be very cool when we get to watch this movie finally and we're sitting in the theaters and that the scene of a muddy pond lightsaber duel comes on and we're all like Leonardo DiCaprio in that one meme where he's like, whoop, whoop, whoop. And and we're all like, Tom Cruise shot that scene, lightsaber duel in a muddy pond. But yeah, that will be pretty cool. We got some images too of him behind the scenes. He's always in this corridor. Now this might be on a ship, could be in a building. Pretty big hallway, but we'll continue. The article further confirms the appearance of lightsabers when interviewer Callum Marsh, Mr. Marsh, or maybe Mrs. Marsh, unclear, revealed that Sean Levy handed him a prop lightsaber while grabbing one for himself, inviting him to duel with him. So not only are we getting duels on screen, but behind the cameras, we're getting duels from Tom Cruise versus Sean Levy. Is anybody else's nerd brain exploding right now? Like, this is just insanely cool. Okay. Hey, check this out. We can have a battle, like a practice between takes. So prop lightsabers on set, lightsabers up the wazoo. What the hell is going on with this Starfighter movie? What is happening? Okay. Additionally, it turns out that there's a reason why the first couple of promotional images for Starfighter revealed that Ryan Gosling is next to a young boy. Sorry. A young boy. According to director Sean Levy, the film is built around a father-son dynamic. Now, this has been I suppose, a problem for some Star Wars fans because they aren't a big fan of the father-son dynamic, at least not over and over and over again.
I got a bad feeling about this.
People seem to think it's too repetitive. For example, we just got The Bad Batch. The Bad Batch was this very father-daughter, I suppose. I guess not father-son, but, father-daughter relationship of Hunter and Omega. The Mandalorian. We're getting the Mandalorian and Grogu movie this year. Literally a father and son dynamic because he adopts Grogu to be his son. You've had this dynamic pop up a million times in Star Wars before. You could argue Obi-Wan and Luke in A New Hope, but if you don't want to make that argument, how about Darth Vader's literally his father? And then even in the prequel trilogy, you have the Qui-Gon Jinn father figure like for Anakin Skywalker. So you've had this father-son dynamic in Star Wars time and time and time again, and some people are sick of it. It depends on how they do it, of course. I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that Ryan Gosling's actually his father. It's, as he puts it, a father and son dynamic, not like actual father and son. But, maybe. Only time will tell. But are we sick of it? Are you sick of the father and son dynamic? Is this bad news for you? What do we think? What do we think? I've heard nothing. Did Tom Cruise get into some controversy recently? Why do some people hate him now? I've heard nothing bad about him that makes him unfit to work on Star Wars. Honestly, don't know much about Tom Cruise on a personal level at all. From what I know, why people don't like him, at least, and again, you guys can correct me if I'm completely wrong, but it's the Scientology stuff. People don't really like that. And I don't know. I just watch movies. I don't really, I just watch movies and shows. That's why I'm here, Yeah. So the father and son dynamic thing. Has there been too much of it? Has there been too much? What do we think? Cassidy says, as far as the movies go, getting something where the father and son are on the same side would be something refreshing. I guess. Luke and Vader, of course. And then Kylo and Han Solo on separate sides. I get that. But we just got that with the Mandalorian and Grogu, and we're getting that this year with the Mandalorian and Grogu. Because it is the plot of the first 3 seasons, that father and son dynamic. And granted, Flynn Gray, unless crazy CGI work happens, but he does not look like a little green creature to me. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, because he does not look green or little or like Grogu at all. So it will be a very different dynamic between the two of those characters. True. But it was just an issue I saw come up. People are like, father and son has been done to death in Star Wars, so I thought I'd bring it up. Jeez. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay. Sean Levy revealed that the reason a lot of his movies, The Adam Project, Night at the Museum, Real Steel, among others, have focused on the father and son dynamic is due to the relationship he had with his own father. So this is a guy who's done this before. I actually didn't even think of that. The Adam Project is father and son. Night at the Museum is? I haven't seen the Night at the Museum movies in a long time. I don't remember his dad being involved at all. Or his son. Either way, Real Steel is definitely a father and son dynamic for sure. Either way, there you go. It's that connection that he had with his own father. Greg, what's up? How we doing? 50 Thunder, how we doing? All right. Actually, we'll keep going. In an emotional tale, he recounted that his father left when he was 3 years old, and his mother suffered from depression and alcoholism. He and his sister ran away and reunited with their father when he was 13, which he believed saved his life. It's unsurprising that he revisits the theme of father and son relationships in his movies, which might hint that he particularly gets Star Wars, which is particularly well known for those dynamics. Now, like I mentioned before, we don't know if Ryan Gosling is actually the father of Flynn Gray's character in this movie. We think he's more of a father figure, but that could change. From the latest rumors that we've gotten, and again, this is just a rumor for now, Amy Adams, who's going to have a pretty small role in the movie, is going to be the mom of Flynn Gray's character. And she's supposed to be a Jedi, which would lead to, lightsaber fights, which we're talking about right now. But at least one parent is a Force user, which would make highly likely that the kid is a Force user as well. But I don't know if he's wielding a lightsaber. So here's what Sean Levy said. I have never, ever connected it before, but I could never figure out why I kept coming back to these stories of a 13-year-old boy being saved by a man. There was something defining about that moment for me, and with Star Wars, I'm doing so again. So you have a 13-ish-year-old boy, and that's the set again. You have a 13-year-old-ish boy with Flynn Gray being rescued by this older male figure. Again, the very bare bones of the story here. Of course, that does not confirm that the two leads are actually father and son, like I mentioned before. It could refer to the found family dynamic between the two of them. Sean Levy revealed how challenging he's finding the film when recounting a conversation with his father, as he said this. My dad called me yesterday and said and asked me how I'm doing. Is the job stressful? Is it hard? And I'm like, yes, this movie is more stressful and challenging than anything I've ever done. But also, my 10-year-old self is on set every day, and that's how I make movies. So Star Wars comes with the, unbearable weight of the fandom and the fact that however good Starfighter is going to be, or bad, but however good it could be, even if it's the perfect movie of all perfect movies, could be the greatest movie of all time, and yet there will still be a portion of the Star Wars fandom that will hate it for one reason or another. Or it could be a really, really divisive movie like The Last Jedi, and it will be talked about for the rest of time, and he will be pretty much banished from the Star Wars universe as Rian Johnson has pretty much been. But it is a lot of pressure. It is a big challenge to make a Star Wars movie. But when I look at the discography that he has, Sean Levy that is, he's a good guy to, make a Star Wars movie. He's got that connection to making these, I guess, father-son dynamic movies, as he just mentioned. And his catalog speaks for itself. When we talk about other directors coming to Star Wars, for example, we've been begging for Bryce Dallas Howard to get her own movie or show because of the work that she's done on Star Wars. The opposite example would be Sharmina Bencinoy. Sharmeen has not done anything in Star Wars land. Neither has Sean Levy. But outside of Star Wars, all she has done is those short films. The forgetting the word, but you know what I mean. Those short documentary-like films. Yeah, you know what I mean. She hasn't really done anything of the level of a Stranger Things or a Adam Project or Free Guy, like all those stuff that Sean Levy has already done. But continuing. Speaking of how Sean Levy makes movies, that process is likely another reason why Lucasfilm hired him to direct this film. Cinematographer Claudio Miranda claims that Levy was always very sparky and that he comes in fully charged, whereas other directors might look weighed down by such a project. Let's not skim over the fact that, yes, the cinematographer for this movie is Claudio Miranda, the same guy who did Top Gun Maverick, which in a movie called Starfighter, that's kind of the guy you want to be your cinematographer for the movie. Everything we hear about Starfighter just gets me more and more and more excited. From little things like, well, I guess big things like the cast being so loaded, to little things like a muddy pond, a lightsaber duel, to even the cinematographer being Claudio Miranda. So, New York Times also reported that his sets are masterclass in efficiency, which to Disney's ears, that is like, oh, because if they can save money anywhere and anywhere, efficiency is the way to go. Indeed. And that Levy himself is conscious of time and budget. It's easy to see why that would appeal a huge studio like Disney, who has become increasingly penny pinching over the last 5 years. And this is what Sean had to say. There's a breed of movie star and filmmaker that makes it a point of pride to spend all the time and all the money, as if your creative appetite is so ferocious that cost and schedule be damned. But that's not how he works. But I'm the guy in the studios call when they want something they know will take their investment seriously and deliver responsibly. It's not the sexiest way to put it, but I'm a good worker and I take pride in that. And it's not like his product is bad because of it. It's not like you can see that he's cutting corners and cutting costs and the CGI is bad and the whatever is bad. No, that's not the case at all. Just go watch Stranger Things. This is Hugh Jackman. Oh, this is talking about, yeah, that's not really. That's talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. It was Kathleen Kennedy who was responsible for bringing Sean Levy on board for Star Wars Starfighter, as she noted that earlier in his career, he got a bit of a pigeonholed after directing family comedies like Night at the Museum and Cheaper by the Dozen. He did family comedies, and that got reinterpreted as lightweight, which is completely unfair. It is so hard to do movies like that. It's all I look for in directors is that needle in a haystack. He's done pretty much everything all across the board, from comedies to, I don't even know what you would define Stranger Things as, to action adventures like The Adam Project, to anything and everything in between. He's done it all, and now he gets to come do a Starfighter movie? Pretty crazy. And then it goes on to talk about Real Steel and all that other stuff. So, all that to say, Starfighter doesn't come out for another year and a half-ish, give or take. The fact that they are talking about Tom Cruise being on set is one thing. It's cool. It's pretty much just the segue into telling us that there's going to be multiple lightsaber sequences, lightsaber duels in this movie, which is beyond insane. If you rewind the time to 24 hours ago, I would not have told you in a million years that we'd be getting multiple lightsaber duels in Starfighter. Never. But today, that's the conversation. So what we know about this movie, and I guess what we don't know, is a lot. And lightsaber duels, Amy Adams being rumored to be playing a Jedi or former Jedi, Flynn Gray being Force sensitive, and now I guess the jury's out on Ryan Gosling because he could be force sensitive too. He could be wielding a lightsaber as well, for all we know. But with that being said, now with this news in your minds, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Star Wars Starfighter? Let me put up a poll. Are you more excited for Starfighter? Starfighter. There we go. Now, yes or no? Lightsaber Duels, Steven Spielberg, Tom Cruise. How excited are you for this movie? 7 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 100 out of 10. Okay. 9 out of 10, 7, 10. Tom Cruise, not going to lie, I kind of juiced up for the movie. I don't think he's going to be in it. I mean, maybe as like a cameo or something, like a stormtrooper. Actually, there's not going to be stormtroopers in this movie. Huh, that's crazy. Yeah, no, there's definitely not going to be any stormtroopers in this movie. That's wild. Okay, but some sort of cameo. Maybe he's a voice of an alien. Maybe he's just a background character. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But if he's on set and he's behind the camera filming a scene with lightsaber duels, he's probably going to have a cameo in the movie somewhere. Yeah. Given how important Starfighter could be, I am more anxious about it. It is very important. Where it takes place in the timeline and what it's setting up. It's coming out before the Rey movie. It's 5 years after The Rise of Skywalker. This is the future. Starfighter is the future of the Star Wars timeline, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is the kickstarting point to a post-Skywalker saga era. But now let me ask the question, the elephant in the room. Who is wielding the lightsabers? So if there's lightsaber duels in this movie, who is wielding them? If it's a lightsaber duel, it seems to be a good guy and a bad guy. So who are the villains of this film? Being played by Mia Goth and Matt Smith. At least that much we know. But who are they? Why are they wielding lightsabers? What is happening? Ryan Gosling and Matt Smith. If we are getting a Ryan Gosling versus Matt Smith lightsaber duel in Starfighter, I think my mind will explode. I think I will be snapped away like Thanos in Avengers Infinity War. I think that's what would happen. I don't think I could fathom that. You know? Amy Adams versus Matt Smith. It would be pretty crazy if Amy Adams, who's not really supposed to be in the movie all that much because she's supposed to be the mom and she's not supposed to be there because Ryan Gosling's taking care of the kid. If she, like, opening scene of the movie, if she gets sliced down by a lightsaber by Matt Smith or even Mia Goth, that would be wild. Wild. Jordan Rennie with a very generous $5 holla, I appreciate that quite a bit, says, is this the first Star Wars movie without Stormtroopers since The Phantom Menace? Well, Stormtrooper or Clone Trooper, yes. The sequels definitely have them. The originals obviously have them. And then other than The Phantom Menace, you get the clones in the Clone Wars, in the Attack of the Clones, and then the clones again in Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, this will be the first movie since Episode 1 to not have an army of Storm or clone troopers. That's wild. Now, will there be an army of some other troopers? Maybe. Are we going back to droids? Possibly. I don't know. It fully depends on who the villains are. Mia Goth and Matt Smith, who are they playing? Is it characters that we already know? Is it brand new characters that are wielding lightsabers? Are they Grisk? Are they Vong? Are they pirates? Are they smugglers? Are they bounty hunters? Who are they, and why are they hunting down this child? That's pretty much all we know about the plot of this movie, is that they are trying to hunt down Flynn Gray. Why? Why? If he's force sensitive, what purpose do they have with him? And all this leads me to believe, with lightsabers being so heavily involved, that this is definitely going to set up the Rey movie. Like 100%. This movie will be heavily connected to the Rey movie. Maybe in terms of the bad guys transferring over, like Matt Smith being the villain of the Rey movie as well, or Flynn Gray joining Rey's new Jedi Order. Or why not both? Why not both? Amy Adams could have a flashback showing off her Force abilities if she, in fact, is Force sensitive. I think she's going to be, by the events of this movie, I think she's going to be dead. So whatever scenes Amy Adams gets will be flashbacks. Yeah. That's my theory. Mike's camera is going crazy. What? What? Is the Tom Cruise info news or leaks? Just wondering. It's news. This is not like me fanboy dreaming over here. This is coming from the director of the movie himself, Sean Levy, talking about Tom Cruise being on set and filming a lightsaber duel in a muddy pond. Right here. Sean Levy saying that this scene involved a lightsaber duel in the water, a muddy pond where Tom Cruise is wielding the camera, so he's behind the camera, ruining his nice shoes because he's in said muddy pond, filming a lightsaber duel, and Steven Spielberg was also on the set. This is not leaks. This is not rumors. This is not me fanboy dreaming. This is fact. Fact. Yeah. But I have a theory. However, I can't tell you guys that theory until later on in this live stream because it has to do with some of the other news we are talking about. So, with that being said, let's switch gears a little bit here. We'll come back to this Starfighter stuff. We'll come back to it. Lightsaber duels, greatness, all that fun stuff. But we have to talk about Maul Shadow Lord because I think of all projects, Starfighter, which takes place 5 years after the Rise of Skywalker, and Maul Shadow Lord are going to be heavily connected. Heavily. And here's why. Let's talk about the Starfighter. The Maul Shadow Lord news, and then we will come right on back to Starfighter because we have some other news in terms of Mia Goth's character. So, where is this? Where is it? So we were looking at on Tuesday's live stream all these different Maul Shadow Lord images, and now we have some more. Not only are we getting Maul fighting a Jedi, because we were wondering, will there be Jedi involved in Maul Shadow Lord? It's right after Order 66 by about a year. So will we see Jedi in this series? The answer is yeah. Now, maybe we won't see many, but at least one. At least one. Now, let's not forget that this show is going to give Maul an apprentice. We think a canon version of Darth Talon, or I think a canon version of Darth Talon. But Maul is getting an apprentice. And if he's training this apprentice in the ways of the dark side of the Force, and that means that this apprentice needs a lightsaber, the only way that she can obtain a red lightsaber is by killing a Jedi and bleeding the Kyber crystal. Now, a little bit of confusion going on here because Darth Maul is the one fighting this Jedi. So I don't really know what's going on there. But it could be some sort of training sequence where Maul is training his apprentice, and in doing so, she needs to go kill a Jedi to get her own lightsaber. It's possible that we get a bleeding Kyber crystal scene in Maul Shadow Lord. That would be awesome. And it brings me back to this character. Well, actually, people, let me go back to this for a second. Does anybody recognize this shape right here? People have been trying to figure out who this Jedi may be. In the fan favorite, the fan favorite speculation out there is sort of ridiculous, if you ask me. But who do we think this is? Who do we think this is? Ventress and her apprentice, perhaps? Well, Ventress's apprentice was a human. This guy definitely doesn't look human. Definitely does not look human. It's Leku? I don't think so. I don't think so. At least, it looks like it goes straight out that way. Like, Leku would come down like ears. I mean, not ears, like tails, I guess. This one comes straight out. The fan theory right now is our boy Coleman Treber. Or Coleman Treber? Now, obviously, this guy dies in Attack of the Clones, but it could be the same species. That's, I guess, the more accurate prediction, is it's the same species. Yes, Coleman Treber is not coming back to life. This is not a somehow Coleman Treber returns scenario here. We're talking about a similar species to this character. Yes. So I believe this is the only member of this species we've ever seen in live action. And I say I believe because I don't know of any other time we've seen a guy who looks like this. But maybe I'm wrong. But this certainly looks like the same species. This giant sort of, I don't even know what to call it, reverse horn coming off the back of his head. I don't even know. He looks like a unicorn, but it's on backwards. And that's what it looks like to me. But either way, we're getting some pretty cool lightsaber duels in Maul Shadow Lord. Clone Man Treber. That's genius. That's genius.
This is where the fun begins.
I clicked the wrong button, okay? All right, well, let's kick it back to this character. Some of you think this still isn't going to be our canon version of Darth Talon. And now I think the news that we're talking about today pretty much puts me to 98% sure. 2% of maybe not. But here's the idea. Maul Shadow Lord has a few purposes, just as a show in general. Why are they making that show? That's the question. The easy answer is to fill in Maul's story. We go from him at the end of season 7 to him in Solo, where he's completely in control of the underworld, the leader of the Crimson Dawn. He's going to go train Kira after that movie ends. And then we see him with all of that gone. No Crimson Dawn, no criminal underworld, no nothing. He's by himself on Malachor 5, pretty much has lost his mind, and he's trying to get this super weapon, that is this temple, to destroy, we assume, Palpatine in the Empire. However, I think there is another purpose. There is another for this show. The same way that the Bad Batch had the purpose of setting up Mount Tantus, but also giving us Omega, who is clearly the key to Project Necromancer. I think the purpose is this character right here. This apprentice to Darth Maul. Because they're not going to establish this girl, have her get trained by Darth Maul, and then die. I don't think so. I really don't. That would be a waste of this character, especially when Maul's apprentice in Legends is Darth Talon. Sorry, didn't mean to raise my voice. So I think this character will be introduced as some name, whatever name it may be. Maybe it's like, Samantha. I don't know. And then at some point, we'll get a henceforth you shall be known as Darth Talon scene. And then she leaves Maul. Whatever the falling out that they have is, she leaves Maul. Because this character, much like Omega, is going to be set up for a bright future. And that future that future might just be swinging a lightsaber in Star Wars Starfighter. It's very far-fetched, but my fanboy dreaming mind has to go there. What if Matt Smith is Darth Krayt and Mia Goth is Darth Talon? It would explain the lightsaber duels. It would explain why we're getting so many lightsaber duels in Starfighter. In a movie called Starfighter, supposedly about, starfighters, we're getting a bunch of lightsaber duels. Why else would they set up Maul having an apprentice when clearly in Legends he has a very popular apprentice in Darth Talon? The exact same plot that George Lucas had for the sequel trilogy in having Maul be the ruler of the underworld with an apprentice that was a Twi'lek that's Darth Talon. Why would they set that up just to kill off the character in one season of an animated show? They wouldn't. They would absolutely not do that. They have never done that in the past. Every young apprentice character in the animated shows, Omega, Ezra Bridger, Ahsoka Tano, has been significant, has usually ended up being the main character of the show. So it may be called Maul Shadow Lord, but it might end up being Talon's show by the end of it. This character right here is going to have a very long future in the Star Wars galaxy. Whether that is eventually being played by Mia Goth in Star Wars Starfighter and swinging a lightsaber with Tom Cruise behind the camera, or if it's for some other purpose. Either way, they're not going to set up Maul training a Twi'lek apprentice when Darth Talon exists in Legends, and every Star Wars fan who's ever read any piece of Legends will know that. They're not going to set up this character to just kill her off. It wouldn't make any sense. It just wouldn't. And maybe it's not Mia Goth, but either way, it's going to have to be important later on. Mia Goth is only 32. Okay, so let's do some math. No, that's way too young. That is way too young. However, the dark side is a path to things some consider to be unnatural. Palpatine is how old in Rise of Skywalker? Like 160 or something? Hang on, let me look it up. How old is Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker? Palpatine is 120, 119, it says. Around 119. He's 120 years old. Mia Goth, being 32, if she's playing Darth Talon, she's not going to look anything like Mia Goth. She's going to look like a red Twi'lek or a, I guess, a pink Twi'lek, as this image indicates. I don't know. Maybe it's not Mia Goth, but either way, I think specifically with Maul Shadow Lord, this character is being set up for some sort of future, just like Ahsoka was in the Clone Wars, just like Omega was in the Bad Batch, and just like Ezra Bridger was in Star Wars Rebels. These youngling characters, for lack of a better word, these Padawans, apprentices of these shows, always seem to be a very important piece to the puzzle. And I think the exact same thing is happening here with Maul Shadow Lord. Will it eventually end up being Mia Goth and explain the lightsaber wielding in that movie? Possibly. But it also could not be. It also could not be. And yes, the Twi'lek species does live a lot longer than human species. True. But when you add the dark side to that, it becomes whatever you want it to be. She could live upwards of 200 plus years old. She could be a Darth Talon descendant. Could be. Could be that as well. Maybe this character is Maul and Mia Goth's mom. Maul and Mia Goth's mom. Oh, in Maul is Mia Goth's mom. Okay, so you're saying, yes, that this is the mom of what Mia Goth's character could be. Okay, that could be, again, yes, could be. Well, let's tie this more so to Starfighter. We don't know who the villains of Starfighter are going to be. It would make sense to, even though they're saying that this is a brand new spot in the timeline, it's post Skywalker saga, it's not really going to be connected to the Skywalker bloodline, all that stuff. Just because that's the case doesn't mean that the villain of the movie, or even the, I guess, protagonists of Amy Adams and whoever, doesn't mean that those characters can't have come from the Skywalker saga. Actually, they have to, because, that's 5 years before. But it doesn't mean that we don't have to have already known who these characters were beforehand, whether it be from a comic or an animated series or something else. They don't have to be completely brand new characters. They could be, but they don't have to be. And that's why when we talk about specifically lightsabers being involved, this groundbreaking news of today, of January 8th, 2026, of there being multiple lightsaber duels in Star Wars Starfighter, leads to a wide open door of fan possibilities, fan theories, insanity for the next year and a half. Until we get some sort of trailer or any bit of news that confirms who these characters are, what they look like, what they're doing, the door is wide open for possibilities. And the possibilities are endless, because we could be seeing Darth Talon in this Starfighter movie swinging a lightsaber across from Ryan Gosling. Yeah. And that sounds pretty crazy to me. Sam Witwer will cook his Maul anyway. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, as always. Indeed. Okay, but speaking of Mia Goth's character, I do have this interview pulled up right here, where she is talking about this upcoming movie. So let's take a look at this. This is coming from IGN India, I believe. That's what it says on the top here. Maybe it's just IGN? I don't know. Okay, whatever. Let's just read it. Let's just read it. Star Wars Starfighter actress Mia Goth calls Sean Levy's upcoming film the most fun experience ever. Again, everything we are hearing about this movie just gets me so much more excited every single time.
This is where the fun begins.
Okay. Mia Goth has spoken up about her experience working on Star Wars Starfighter, calling it the most fun project ever. The actor shared her thoughts while attending the Palm Springs Film Festival, while she spoke to Collider about joining the Star Wars universe for the first time. Mia Goth said, "It was incredible. It was the most fun on a film set I think I've ever had." Now, granted, if you're a Star Wars fan and an actor or actress and you get the chance to, work on Star Wars, it's probably going to be the most fun that you've ever had. So that's, it's not that hard. But Mia Goth went on to praise director Sean Levy for his energy and leadership on set. This is not the first time we've even talked about this today, but it's definitely not the first time we've talked about it before. She said, "When you meet him, you can't help but feel that electricity. He has a way of working with his crew, and he is so bonded to everyone around him. We had such a blast, and I think people are really going to love the movie." Now, obviously, she's not going to come out and be like, "I think everybody's going to hate the movie," but this does seem genuine, and it does make me feel even more excited than I already was. Mia Goth's first reported to be joining the film in June of last year alongside Ryan Gosling. Reports at that time suggested that she would be playing one of the evil pursuers, though details on her character have not been officially confirmed. Is she wielding a lightsaber? Is she Darth Talon? Star Wars Starfighter is set 5 years after The Rise of Skywalker, the final film in the sequel trilogy. But Levy has earlier told during Star Wars Celebration in 2025, in April, that the movie is a standalone movie and not a prequel or a sequel. As he says this, "It's a new adventure set in the time period where we haven't yet seen explored." So I think standalone can be said about Solo. It can be said about Rogue One. And yet those two movies heavily connect to what comes after. And I guess what comes before. But what comes after more so, which is the original trilogy. So yes, it can be a standalone movie and still also have a character like Darth Talon in it. It can still be a standalone movie and also connect to what comes next, which is the Rey movie. There's ways to do that. It can still be all brand new cast, but also connect to, I know I haven't brought her up yet, but Mara Jade. If Amy Adams is in fact playing Mara Jade, which would be a connection to Luke Skywalker, which would connect all this story together. But then it goes on to talk about every upcoming show, which we already know about. So there's that. Amy Adams giving us a little bit of a cool update for the movie, exciting us all. Now, lightsaber duels aside, Starfighter is still a year and a half away. And I don't know when we'll get our first trailer for that movie. I would probably assume not until at least September, because that's when we got our first Mando trailer. But August has D23, so maybe there. Actually, yeah, that would be more likely. Will it be released publicly? Probably not, but possibly. Possibly. So when you're looking forward to a trailer for Starfighter, don't expect one for at least another 6 months. At least. Not before the Mandalorian and Grogu. Maybe attached to the Mandalorian and Grogu. Maybe. Because with Avatar, Fire, and Ash, they've been connecting these Avengers Doomsday trailers. And Avengers Doomsday is not for another 11 months. So they could do that, where they attach a teaser trailer for Starfighter to the Mandalorian and Grogu. I would say that's not likely. It's doubtful, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. No, it is not. All right, before we switch our gears to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, because we got a lot to talk about when it comes to that, we must talk about Ahsoka Season 2. Clear the air. Because people are saying that it's being delayed till 2027 and that we're never going to see this show because it keeps getting delayed, blah, 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 all that greatness, you know, the usual. But here we have some good news. Oh, there it is. Here we have some good news. Check this out. Zoom in on that. Zoom in again. Zoom. Got it. All right. Disney Plus reveals Ahsoka Season 2 release window. It's been 2 years since Disney released a sketch from Dave Filoni confirming that it would get a second season of its hit series, Ahsoka. 2 years. That's insane. Since then, we've not had much information about the new season. Plenty of leaks, but not a lot of confirmed information. Other than hearing that production has wrapped last year in October, and that it's set after the fall of the Empire, which of course is where Ahsoka was set to. It follows the former Jedi Knight Ahsoka Tano as she investigates an emerging threat of a threat to a vulnerable galaxy. Ahsoka star Rosario Dawson, Natasha Liu Bordizzo stars them, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Ray Stevenson, who sadly has passed away, Ivana Sakno, Deanna Lee Insanto, yes, who played Morgan Elsbeth, who is dead in the show, David Tennant, Lars Mikkelsen, and Iman Esfandi, who, by the way, is rumored to be in Spider-Man, which is cool. So here's what the good news is, because people thought it was being delayed till 2027, but with the new year underway, Disney Plus has updated its homepage, highlighting some of the shows coming to its streaming platform in 2026, and it lists Ahsoka as a 2026 release. This is what we're talking about here. So in the 2026, coming soon in 2026, on Disney Plus, you have Daredevil Born Again. There's projects before it too, but they just don't have the Daredevil Born Again, which is coming out in, I think, April or March. X-Men 97, which comes out in the summer, I think. Spider-Man, Season 2 of this Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show, which I think is later on in the year. And then Ahsoka Season 2. So for those who were concerned that it would be delayed till 2027, this is the good news. Ahsoka will be coming out this year as predicted and as, reported by most people. Ahsoka Season 2 on December 31st? No. It will likely stay on the same course that Season 1 did, because Season 1 stopped filming in October the year before it released. Then it released in August. So it'll be around that same time. Yeah. Okay. So there's that. That's a little bit of Ahsoka news that we have today. Not much else from Ahsoka. So we're going to move on to The Mandalorian and Grogu. And with The Mandalorian and Grogu, I would like to put up a poll in the chat. And I know I talked about how 2026 was going to be the year that I don't kill anybody off. I'm not killing them off. I'm just asking a question, okay? I'm just asking a question. Do you think Din Djarin will die in The Mandalorian and Grogu movie? Yes or no? I'm just asking a question. Just asking a question. Yes or no? And while you answer that, can I get some good cups follow orders in the chat, please? Bumpa. And I have a reason for asking this too, because we have a new image and a new description for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Let's see, where is it? Aha, here we go. So this comes from USA Today. USA Today. We got a new image and a description. So let's take a look at the image first. Actually, no. Let's take a look at the description first, because the image is, I think, more important. New description for the Mandalorian and Grogu has been released. Armored warrior Din Djarin, played by Pedro Pascal, and his little buddy, I guess, a.k.a. Baby Yoda, Grogu. Hyperspace jump from Disney Plus to the big screen. The Star Wars pair are enlisted to help the New Republic with pesky Imperial warlords, plus form an alliance with an ex-rebel pilot, Sigourney Weaver, and get involved with Jabba the Hutt's son, played by Jeremy Allen White, of course, Stinky or Rata the Hutt. We have learned that Sigourney Weaver's character is a small one. Whether she dies early on in the film and that's why she doesn't have many scenes, or it's because she's just, I guess, the one who sets them off onto their mission, that remains to be seen. But she doesn't have that many scenes. She talked about only being on set for a couple days, and from what we hear, she's not in the movie all that much. But the fact that she's an ex-rebel pilot and she's on set with the X-Wing suit on, she might be in an X-Wing. It's possible. Or we could be getting flashbacks to her as at her time as a rebel pilot, but that's probably less likely. There's a lot of Hutts going on with the Mandalorian and Grogu. We know that, and that's going to be great. You know, Stinky the Hutts, also the twin Hutts, and all that. So we'll see how that goes. But let's take a look at this image, a closer look at this image, I should say. So we got inside the AT Walker. Din and Grogu, you know, just sort of took it over themselves. In the trailer, we see them flying out through there. But there's a few things that people have noticed. One, this is different. So I forget what he calls these things that come shooting out of his arm, but it does look different here, either an upgrade or I guess a downgrade. It's possible. Upgrade or a downgrade. But the other thing that people have noticed is, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? Whistling birds? Is that what they were called? Something like that. Whistling birds? I forget what it was. I forget. Star Wars Santa, that's a crazy take. I don't think he's going to die that much. I shave my head if Din Djarin doesn't die. That's brutal. That's brutal. It's Grogu's snot? Okay. Sith code, Din Djarin has gone to the dark side? All right. It looks like ketchup. Maybe he was eating a hot dog. Okay. Sure. He was eating a hot dog. Din Djarin's not going to die, but he might get dingered. Nice. But that's it. Well, here's my thing. We know, and still tell me what you think that is in the chat. We know that Pedro Pascal was on set at some point with his helmet off. Where the hell's this image? I just had it. Where the hey diddle diddle? I just had it 2 seconds ago. Where'd it go? What the heck? Well, we know that Pedro Pascal was on set in the Mandalorian armor. And if they're promoting this movie, of course, Pedro Pascal being the main character and the voice of the main character, you'd think we'd see his face, right? So tell me in the chat, do you think we're going to see Din Djarin's face in this movie? Yes or no? Because if you're seeing his face, it's either he's severely injured and dying, or he is dead. We've only seen his face 3 times in Star Wars. One, when he's dying in season 1, and the only way to save him is for IG-88 to take his helmet off. The second time was when he had to take his armor off and go in the Bill Burr episode, and he had to take his helmet off because he needed his face to be scanned. And then the third time is his goodbye to Grogu. Since then, which by the way happened in 2020, 6 years ago now. Well, not, but 5 years ago, but yeah, 5 years ago. Season 3 of The Mandalorian is all about why he was it IG-11? My fault. I said IG-88. Season 3 of The Mandalorian is all about why he can't take his helmet off. He goes and bathes in the waters on Mandalore and all that great stuff. The only way he takes off his helmet is if somebody takes it off him, which has yet to happen in 3 seasons, so I seriously doubt it will this season, or this movie, sorry. Or he's severely injured and needs to take it off again, or he dies. Now, I've said my piece 1,000 times on why I think his death would be very, very meaningful and actually have a purpose. And the fact that if it's a trilogy, all the Star Wars trilogies have started with a death. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Han Solo. And those are all pretty main characters. And so would Din Djarin. But hey, what are we going to do? Ron, the very generous $10 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit, Ron. Says, yes, I agree. We will see Pedro Pascal's face if Din Djarin dies. Interesting. Why are you trying to spoil the movie? I'm not spoiling anything. You guys think he's not going to die. I think he's going to die. All right. I'll change the topic then, because we do have other Mandalorian news. Since you guys are like, Mike's killing Din Djarin. Oh, wait, let's get back to the injury. Do you guys think this is a hole in his armor? Do you think this is blood or blood of somebody else? They posted this image, obviously, for a reason. We get very, very, very little amount of images for this Mandalorian and Grogu, and this one is with USA Today. Not too much going on except for this new bird thing, whistling bird thing. Nothing too new here. There's something a little bit new there, but AT-AT, we saw that in the trailer. Nothing too crazy except for this. So why would this be there? Scuff marks? Just needs a little paint? Well, his Beskar armor is not painted. It's just the Beskar metal. So this is either a hole in the metal, which would bring up so many questions, like how can you get a hole in the metal of Beskar? Because it does kind of look like it's peeled up right there. You know what I'm saying? So if this is a injury to him on the Beskar metal, there's something that can get through the Beskar, which we know is very difficult to accomplish because even lightsabers take a while to slice through it, and even if they can, because they can't. They just heat up the metal. So if it's an injury, that's insane. And if it's blood from somebody else, that's just as cool. Like, he is just slicing and dicing stormtroopers and is just, getting the blood all over him. We do have these enhanced images right here of the snow troopers. So this is where he's going to come in the back door over there and just kill everybody in this room. So it could be the blood of one of these guys. And this is likely on the snow planet that we see in the trailer. So there's that. And then I saw this image. And again, I believe this is an enhanced image, and this is like him breaking through the door back there. But take a look at this helmet for a second. Does anybody recognize that helmet? Does that look familiar to anybody? 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 Roasted my hairline, chat? What the hell? What'd I do to you? I'm just going for the Jude Law look, Famous actor in Star Wars. What more can you ask? Great character, by the way. Darth Vader? I guess kind of, yeah. Snow Vader? A mud trooper? Let's see. A mud trooper. Flame trooper. Hang on. Let me, I forget what the mud trooper looks like. Mud trooper. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah. From Solo. This guy right here. Yeah, kinda. I can see it. A little bit. But it's just white and without the giant gas mask looking thing. And then what was the other one? Flame trooper? Yeah, I see that too. Well, I guess this is a First Order Flame Trooper. Interesting. Or you could get the guy from the Clone Wars. Is this Rex? No. Look at that. That is very similar to that. It is indeed. My first instinct, or my first thought, was this. These Maul troopers. Mando troopers. At least the chin of it looks very, very similar. Now, I don't think we're going to Mandalorian in this movie, or even if we are, I doubt we'll see these troopers because they all died in Season 3, but pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Oh, and then we had this Grogu, destroying the mouse droid, which is great. Indeed. Okay. Now to the fun. Oops.
This is where the fun begins.
As if this already wasn't fun. But tell me in the chat. I'm going to put up this poll before we read this article because I'm dying to know what you guys think. But there is some evidence today that kind of suggests that it's possible. So here's the question. Do you think, there we go, Boba Fett will be in Mando and Grogu? Yes or no? The legendary bounty hunter himself, good friend of Din Djarin, now ruler of Tatooine, Boba Fett. Yes or no? Tamara Morrison seems to claim he's not. But is that true? All right. Tell me in the chat, and as you do so, we're going to read this article, and then I'm going to get to the evidence as to why I think he is. New photo from the Mandalorian and Grogu showcases their titular characters in stunning detail. Courtesy of this new write-up from USA Today, fans now have a better look at the titular characters of Din Djarin, or the Mandalorian, and Grogu. The Mandalorian continues to bear his trademarked silvery Beskar armor while carrying Grogu on his back like Pikachu, which is something new, by the way, for the movie, I suppose, because he usually has him like in a satchel or his pod. I miss the pod. Okay. Feel free to take a look at this high-resolution photo down below. The pair appears to be in the cockpit of an AT-AT with a top hatch down and some light snow coming through. Oh, yeah. Some light snow. This is most likely from the same scene shown in the trailer, where the pair likely hijacks the walker and is taking it down. Still so many questions of like, why are they on this planet with AT-AT walkers? Why are they, at this Imperial base? What brings them there in the first place? But continuing. The only notable difference is Din Djarin looking to sporty gray baseline clothing. Yeah, so you got the new underclothes right there of the real sporty gray, I suppose. Rather than the traditional hazelnut brown he typically wore in the past seasons of The Mandalorian. And Grogu appears to be hanging from his back and cloth rather than being carried around in, like I said before, the satchel. We already read this before, this description, but it does say ex-rebel pilot for Sigourney and Jabba the Hutt's son. Recent news for The Mandalorian and Grogu has been relatively slim, but expect that to change and ramp up as we get closer and closer to May 22nd. I'm guessing the Super Bowl is going to be the big catalyst. I think we're going to get a Super Bowl trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu. So think like February, when is it this year? 12th or something? Second weekend of February is the Super Bowl. So expect a trailer then. And then I think from February on, we're going to get so much marketing for this movie. People forget, but when it came to the sequel trilogy, whether you like it or not, the marketing for that trilogy was unbelievable for all the Disney Plus movies. So they really know how to market a Star Wars film and get people excited for it. So as soon as that, I think, February hits, we're going to be getting so much marketing for this movie. So much. The Super Bowl's on February 8th? Really? I think it was later than that. I don't know. I don't know. Samuel says, I'm really excited for this movie, but the marketing isn't good. I agree with you. Up until this point, the marketing for The Mandalorian and Grogu has been very, very sparse. Now, granted, that might be on purpose because they don't want to get people too excited too early in advance. Also, it's Disney, so they've been promoting the hell out of Avatar, Fire and Ash, and before that, Zootopia 2, and before that, Tron, and before that, whatever. So now they're going to start promoting the hell out of The Mandalorian and Grogu because that's going to be their next blockbuster success, along with Toy Story 5, which comes out, I believe, in the spring as well. But most recently, a new trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu was attached to Avatar, Fire and Ash, but that was not released publicly, which is also strange. Because I think that trailer, or at least another one, will be shown at the Super Bowl. We got to see him fighting those Dedrick boards, the chess pieces from the Millennium Falcon, which was cool. And there was some other smaller scenes that were also new in that too, with the flamethrower and one other scene that I can't think of off the top of my head. So, yeah, there it is. And that's just the description and the image where it looks like he's got blood on him, or we will have to start having some crazy conversations about what Beskar is and isn't. But let's talk about Boba Fett. Let's talk about the legendary bounty hunter known as Boba Fett. Crawled his way out of the Sarlacc pit, has been, gone since 1983. To normie fans who've never watched any of the Disney Plus shows and only watched the Star Wars movies, they don't even know Boba Fett's probably alive. Let's be honest, they probably don't. So to those people, if he was to show up in The Mandalorian and Grogu, then it would be a surprise to be sure, but hopefully a welcome one. I mean, I don't even know. But here's where the theory comes from. Lego sets for The Mandalorian and Grogu have been leaked. And again, this is just a leak for now, so take it with a giant grain of salt. But here are the leaks. You have a Razor Crest, which, of course, they're going to do another Razor Crest because the first Razor Crest sold so well. So they're going to do a new Razor Crest for the new Razor Crest in the movie. A Boba Fett. Now, they don't know if it's like maybe the helmet, which I already have behind me here. Maybe they'll redo the helmet or a newer version of the helmet, because we know this helmet right here is not the one that Boba Fett rocks anymore. Or at least it's the same helmet, but he's got a paint job on it, so it's a newer paint color. a Grogu Lego set, and an Anzellan ship, which honestly didn't even know they had a ship. Maybe it's that little like cart thing that's in the trailer that them and the speeder looking thing that them and Grogu are going speeding through what could be Navarro is. I don't know. But the fact that this is Mando Lego sets, again, a leak, so take it with a giant grain of salt, and that Boba Fett's involved with it has led to the speculation that Boba Fett will be in this movie. Now, here's my thing about all this. If Boba's going to be in the movie, I don't think he'll be a main character. He'll probably either show up at the end or be teased at the end. Because I still think this is going to be a trilogy and there's going to have to be a bigger lead up to the next film and all that other stuff. We haven't seen Boba Fett in years. When did the Book of Boba Fett come out? Was it 2021 or 2022? If it was 2022, it's been almost 4 years now. And if it's 2021, it's been almost 5 years now. So it's been quite some time since we've seen Boba Fett on screen. The fans love Tamara Morrison. Everybody loves Boba Fett. Maybe not everybody loves the Book of Boba Fett, but everybody loves the character of Boba Fett. So it would seem like a very big missed opportunity to not have Boba Fett in the film. The same way I said about Bo-Katan, who is a main character of The Mandalorian Season 3, and Cobb Vanth, Timothy Oliphant. The answers that these guys are given in interviews are very, suspicious, specifically Katie Sackhoff from that great interview earlier last year. But Timothy Oliphant as well. So, will these characters be in the movie? Maybe, maybe not. But Boba Fett being involved in the, leaked Lego sets gives a little bit for it. The way I see it is if they are not in this movie, then they'll be further along in the trilogy. Because, yes, I do still think it's going to be a trilogy. As Disney has said, as Lucasfilm has said, that they're going to, the rumor is, again, it's a rumor, that it's going to be a trilogy if the first movie is successful. So if the first movie is a bomb in the box office, they're not going to continue to make more movies. However, if it is successful, we're getting 2 more. A Mando trilogy, Heir to the Empire, all this greatness coming together, all these different stories of Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, Mandalorian, all coming together. Does that happen in the first movie? Probably not. But it will likely happen later on in the timeline or later on in the trilogy where all these characters come together and figure it out. Yeah. So, there you have it. Will Boba Fett be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? By the way, holy crap, 50-50. This poll right now is 50-50. Oh, 51. 51% yes, 49% no. Oh, back to 50-50. Holy crap. See, Santa, I'd love to believe you. But I'd also love to not believe you because I want those guys in the movie. Yeah. They'll come together if Grogu dies. Maybe. I think they'd more likely come together if Din Djarin dies. But that's just me. That's just me. Here's the thing. The show itself has involved all these characters. You've had these team-ups pretty much every single season. Season 1, the team-up is Din, IG-11, Queel, Greef Karga, and Cara Dune. That's your team-up. In Season 2, your team-up is Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, Fennec Shand, Boba Fett, and the other Mandalorians that are with Bo-Katan. I forget their names. What are their names? Whatever. That's your team up for Season 2. Season 3, again, you team up all the Mandalorians, but that's, I guess, a bigger team up. But you got the Armorer, you got Paz Vizsla, you got Bo-Katan. Boba Fett's not involved, but Din Djarin as well and Grogu. So that's your team up for Season 3. Maybe not in the first movie, but if this is a trilogy, there's going to be this massive team up, Avengers Endgame level, all these characters coming together to take down the main threat, which is the remnant of the Empire and its leader, which hopefully will be Grand Admiral Thrawn. I guess true. Black Chrysanthemum and Boba Fett team up. Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett has a team up as well. Din Djarin, Chrysanthemum, Fennec, Boba Fett, Vespa Gang. Don't forget about the Vespa Gang. Yeah. Indeed. Plot-wise, it just won't make any sense. And this ain't a show. This ain't a show anymore. It's a movie, and the plot just won't make it happen. Well, the plot, from what we know of, is heavily involved around the Hutts, the underworld. The twin Hutts are literally on the poster of the movie. And who's the one guy that we know of that has dealt with these twin Hutts before? It's Boba Fett. So the only connection that we have in this movie, because we know so little about it, is those twin Hutts. Is the Hutts being involved? Is the crime syndicate, the underworld, being involved? And the character that we know in the Mandoverse that's the most involved with the Hutts, the most involved with the underworld, it's Boba Fett. So he would be the most likely of that list for me to be in the movie. Vespa Gang. I wouldn't be surprised if the Vespa Gang's next appearance is their death. Casca Reeves, yes, thank you. And Axe Wolf, or Wolves, yes. Those were the characters I was looking for. I wouldn't be surprised if the Vespa Gang's next appearance is, in fact, their death. Because John and Dave are not dumb. They have always been listening to the fans and trying to, of course, please the fans, as always. Forrest Dragon, what's up? How we doing? But in terms of the Vespa Gang's reaction by the fandom, they hated them. So I would assume that they either get a very, reduced role if they ever do a Book of Boba Fett Season 2, or even if they show up in the movie, whatever that may be, they'll have a reduced role or they will die off. Sacrifice in a very cool way or something like that. Sacrifice to Grand Admiral Thrawn. Greg with a very generous $10 holla. I appreciate that. Says autofocus repair contribution. I don't really know. Here's the thing. I'm not the biggest tech guy in the world. The fact that I'm able to live stream 3 times a week with a camera, a microphone that functions most of the time, knock on wood, that is a miracle within itself. I am not the biggest techie guy. So in order for me to figure out how to fix that, autofocus thing on my camera, that will take me like 10 to 12 business days.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, that's not something that will be very easy. Maybe somebody help me on the Discord. Send me like a tutorial. Yeah, send me something. Yeah. Just got to turn the autofocus off. Yeah, that sounds easy, doesn't it? That sounds very easy. Okay, but I appreciate the super chat. And maybe that will go straight to that funding. Possibly. Or we'll go to my lunch later. We'll see. I am kind of hungry. But all that to say, will Boba Fett be in the movie, sorry. 53% of you say yes. 47% say no. So we're pretty split down the middle. My thing is, if you're going back to the big screen, you're going to want to do it with a bang. So will we get Coruscant? Maybe. But if we do, we're getting characters like Hera may be involved. Leia may be involved. C-3PO, who was in season 1 of Ahsoka. It's a Sony. It's a Sony something. A Sony something something. All I can see is SONY on my camera. Okay? Go to settings, autofocus, and then off. You want to do this right now, chat? You want to fix this right now? I can't see that. It's on the back of the camera. It's on the back of the camera. How am I supposed to see that? God. I'll try and fix it after the stream. I will try my best, chat. I promise. Okay. Where were we? Oh, yes. Boba Fett in The Mandalorian and Grogu. So, will he be in the movie? It's probably... I would say I'm like 50-50 on it too. Tamara Morrison hasn't shown up in Star Wars in almost 5 years, and that's kind of, not good. If you ask me, that's not good. Now, I do want to talk about something that's unrelated to the projects we were talking about today, because Mark Hamill just talked about something that was a big mistake, or a big missed opportunity, let's say. Mike looks way better out of focus anyway. I don't have a button for that. That just hurt my feelings. My feelings are hurt. I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight just because of that comment.
Incorrect.
Okay, Mark Hamill was talking about the sequel trilogy. And when he was asked what he wanted to happen, so to speak, he said that he wanted to work with Harrison Ford. He said that he suggested to J.J. Abrams that shouldn't there be a moment where they get together? Let me see if I can pull up this exact interview real quick, because I just had it up. I just don't. It's a very long interview with all these different actors, and I don't really remember. Let's see. Let's see if I can't find this.
When you were making Star Wars,
they always do that. Yeah.
On the Pope, I'm so offended by this. I launch into
So this is a
4-page.
Actors on actors type thing.
What was interesting is I got the part without having read the whole script.
So you got a bunch of different.
Because even without John Williams, enjoyed on a lot. Well, in the sequel trilogy.
Aha, here it is. Perfect. So the question is, if you could work with any actor, what, who would it be? I forget the. Here's the question.
Actor who you've never worked with, would you most
So the question was who you've never worked with. So he answers the question incorrectly, but still.
like to work with? And we're going to stipulate it cannot be somebody at this table.
Well, in the sequel trilogies, Harrison Ford.
yeah, oh yeah.
Hang on one sec. Hang on, Chad. One sec. How's that for you? How's that? Okay, let's watch.
Because I only had
That's
two
right.
cameos in the middle one. We never. I said, aren't we going to have a moment where all three of us get together to raise the roof? It'll only take 30 seconds.
Yep.
And JJ said, well, Mark, it's not Luke's story anymore. I said, Star Wars wasn't Obi-Wan story, but Alec Guinness had a crucial Anyway,
So
nobody listens to me.
nobody listens to me. So he's asked who he would want to work with, and he said in the sequel trilogies, Harrison Ford, because he does get a scene with Carrie Fisher in The Last Jedi. But the three of them are never on screen together. And I still, to this day, and I'm a pretty, the sequels aren't my favorite movies, but I'm a pretty positive guy when it comes to the sequel trilogy. I love The Force Awakens, and there's other aspects of those other two movies that I really, really enjoy. But the biggest missed opportunity in the entire sequel trilogy is not having Luke, Leia, and Han on screen together. Now, this does tie back to what we're talking about today, because if there is, in fact, a Mando trilogy, we have already seen Luke Skywalker in the flesh, at least in the deepfake flesh, in the flesh, in The Mandalorian Season 2, and in the Book of Boba Fett. Princess Leia Organa, or Senator Organa, has been mentioned multiple times in Ahsoka Season 1, and we even got to see C-3PO in Ahsoka Season 1. Han Solo has not been seen yet, but the Millennium Falcon is right off screen for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, as said by Jon Favreau himself in terms of the Smuggler's Run ride at Disney parks. So could these three make an on-screen appearance together? Luke, Leia, and Han, at least their characters, because Carrie Fisher is sadly no longer with us, and Mark and Harrison are both a lot older than the characters are right now in the timeline. Do you think that we will see these three characters on screen together again in the Mandoverse at any point? Yes or no? And let me preface by saying in live action, because they could make an animated show where it could be all about Luke, Leia, and Han. They could get new voice actors to voice the characters, and they could give us plenty of stories about these three. But I'm talking in live action. Deep-faked Luke, Leia, and Han. Yes or no? Actually, let's put up a poll. Let's poll it up. So when I saw that interview, I was like, yes. I mean, it's the biggest missed opportunity ever from the sequels. After 30 plus years, you're not going to reunite these characters. And then now they have the opportunity to do it. They've already brought Luke back. Why not bring the other two and put them all on the screen at the same time? Do you want, or do you think, we'll put it that way, Luke, Leia, and Han will all share the screen in live action together? Yes or no? Now, this could be next year. It could be this year. It could be the year after that. It could be in 10 years from now. Okay, maybe not 10 years. But do you think we will see these three characters in live action on screen again? Yes or no? Do I want it to happen? Absolutely yes. Do I think it will happen? That's a different question. I really don't know. The fact that they've already brought Luke in there, it's definitely a step in the right direction. If this is in fact a trilogy, though, I think yes. I think by the third installment of the trilogy, they will have to have brought in these three characters because Thrawn will be that big a threat that they need to be involved in it in some way. But you guys tell me. You guys tell me. It's like we didn't see Harrison Ford in the last Indiana Jones movie. It looked super weird. What? I haven't seen the last Indiana Jones movie. Is Harrison Ford not in it? What do you mean? They could do something like they did with the second to last Jurassic World movie, where they brought back all the old people. Well, that's kind of what they did with the sequel trilogy. Like that was what the sequels were. They brought back all the original characters. They just didn't put them on the same screen together, which was a huge missed opportunity. The Mandoverse is an opportunity to showcase Luke, Leia, and Han, or they'll make that same mistake again. The thing is, time and time again, John and Dave have proven that they are listening to the fans and they are giving the fans what they want and fixing the sequel trilogy, because some people don't think it needs fixing at all, which is perfectly fine. But in terms of Project Necromancer, bringing Luke back in his prime to save the day, stuff like that is just pleasing the fans who had these problems with the sequel trilogy. And one of the biggest ones is that the three characters, Luke, Leia, and Han, weren't on screen together. So John and Dave had the opportunity to do it. Yes, it will be deep-faked, but Mark Hamill will be there behind the deep-fake. Harrison Ford could be there behind the deep-fake and behind the scenes. The coolest thing is that behind the scenes of the making of The Mandalorian Season 2, when they go to Mark Hamill's house and ask him to be back in Star Wars as Luke Skywalker, and then you see him on set performing the piece that you see with deep-faked Luke. We could get that with Harrison Ford. You could even bring Carrie Fisher's daughter in and use her as the young Leia with deep-faking over her face, like they did with The Rise of Skywalker. I think it would be great. Do you support a recast? No. I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago with Millie Bobby Brown, but no, I do not. Millie Bobby would probably be the only one I would like. Other than that, no. Holograms could work in Star Wars. True, but that's not them being in the same room at the same time. That would just be holograms of them having conversations, which I guess would be all right, but not enough. I think it's happening in Dave's combination movie. Book it. I'd love that, Santa. I would absolutely love it. That would be a lot to get to, though, because his combination movie is combining the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and the Mandalorian, and all the characters involved in those specific projects. So to combine all of them and Luke, Leia, and Han is a difficult task. But hey, where there's a difficult task, Dave Filoni's your guy, or the guy you want. With the deepfake and AI technology, there's no reason to recast anymore. I'm not saying we're going to get a full story about these three characters together, where they're in action and doing all these crazy things. I just want them on the same screen, just for a moment. Even if it's for a split second and I have to go frame by frame, just for a moment. Yeah. That's my hope.
This is where the fun begins.
But for now, it remains a hope. And a young Ben Zola. Why not? Give us young Ben as he goes to Luke's temple. And it could even set up a Luke Skywalker animated series, or just an animated series in general, that tells the stories of Luke, Leia, and Han. It would be such a big missed opportunity to not do that. Give us a 5 or 6 season Clone Wars level animation show of Luke, his Jedi Temple, Leia in the Senate, and what happens with the falling out of them finding out that her dad was Vader, her marriage getting destroyed with Han, Chewie and Han losing the Falcon, like all the things that lead up to the sequel trilogy. Getting to see that in an animated show, the same way the Clone Wars 7 seasons helps the prequel trilogy drastically, that would be enormous for the sequels. So big. You could have Snoke in there, luring Kylo Ren to the dark side. You could even have teases towards Exegol and Palpatine's return, just like they tease with 5's Order 66, with the inhibitor chips for Order 66. They tease what's coming in the future. They could do the exact same thing with Palpatine, Project Necromancer, and Exegol. And it would be so good. Yeah. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But the big news today is that Starfighter is going to have some lightsabers. And I'm excited. Tom Cruise behind the camera, Steven Spielberg on the set. And we even got the possibility of getting to see Darth Talon, or a canon version of the character, in Maul Shadow Lord, with a brand new look at the Mandalorian and Grogu, and possibly a wound or blood on Din Djarin right here. Crazy day for Star Wars news. That's to say the least. Crazy, crazy day. But with that being said, I do have to get on out of here and finish up my short for the day. If you have not yet hit that subscribe, smash a freaking like in the stream, of course, as per usual. And yeah. Mike, I know this is off topic, but what are your thoughts of a Legends book, Supernatural Encounters, and a possibility of bringing more cosmic beings like the Supreme Maker into canon? Some Legend stuff, as we've talked about in the past, is nearly impossible to bring into the current canon. It can be altered to be brought in, but some stuff is just impossible. Do I want more of the supernatural stuff and cosmic things to be brought in? Yes, absolutely. But when you talk about, like, when we're getting Dawn of the Jedi, the Infinity Gates, like that kind of stuff, I don't see being brought into canon. The Infinity Gates are such an interesting concept, but it's almost like the World Between Worlds is the canon version of it. But when it comes to stuff like the Star Forge and all the Old Republic things, and like, yes, I want more of that. Absolutely. Absolutely. But let me end this poll. By the way, almost 60% of you, 59% of you guys, say yes, you do think that Luke, Leia, and Han will share the screen together in live action. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. Ron with a 17-month membership badge. I appreciate that quite a bit. I really, really do. All right. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening. Smash a freaking like in the stream. And yeah, 2026. It's going to be quite the year for Star Wars. And right now, not just content-wise, but news-wise, we're already off to a bang. But until then, may the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys, the absolute best. This might have been one of my favorite live streams of all time. Just based off of the news alone, but just, the fun conversations we have. Watch out for that short later on tonight at about 5 o'clock. Of course, live stream on Saturday and Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday and Tuesday and Thursday for the rest of your lives. And, yeah. I'll get on that, that autofocus somehow, some way, if I can figure it out. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.